Welcome back to another video, guys. Let's jump right into it. Starting off here with some new features for the Xbox Series X and S. Now, this is a simple feature, but something that I think a lot of people will appreciate. I know myself, I will very much appreciate this, and this has to do with pairing devices, pairing controllers and headsets to the Xbox console. Currently, right now, to pair, you have to hit the little button on top of the controller or the button on your headset, and then actually hit the physical pair button on your Xbox Series X and S. And this looks like it's all going to be fixed now, where you can essentially pair without having to touch any physical buttons on the console itself. This is a new update that is coming. It's a new feature, and it says here, it shows here within the screens on the Xbox, the devices and connection screen. You click on controllers and headsets, and then it'll give you the option to connect your wireless headset, connect your wireless controller. You click that, and then you're going to be able to actually pair your devices with your Xbox, sitting back on your couch, not actually having to physically walk up to the console. It's maybe a small thing for some people, but it does get annoying when you're actually having to pair these things by walking up to the console, especially if you're switching back and forth, stuff like that, or if you get a new controller. Now you sit back, you've got it all comfy, ready to game, and you can do it directly from the menu on the Xbox. So very, very happy to see this coming, and just another little quality of life feature. One thing with the Series X and S is, since they launched them, they've continuously been bringing out quality of life features, even with the most recent dashboard update, which is a nice change from the dashboard we had all the way back pretty much from the Xbox One generation. So cool to see that here. So now, no need to go hit that sync button anymore, I guess, on the Xbox console. I wonder if that's going to change maybe designs in the future. Maybe they're going to get rid physically the button from the console. Maybe they'll put it in the back of the console, hide it, because most people probably will just be using this here to start syncing up their devices. Now let's jump over here to a huge announcement. Very, very exciting to see this one. And this has to do with Killer Instinct. I mean, we haven't really heard anything about Killer Instinct in a long time. They haven't brought anything out. People want a new Killer Instinct. I really still hope that that is in the works. I hope there is a new Killer Instinct that will be developed at some point. Xbox has enough first-party studios out there that somebody would want to make this game, or like go back to Iron Galaxy, get them to make a brand new Killer Instinct. But we have this here, which is cool. So it says here, our friends Iron Galaxy are back. And altogether, we're bringing you Killer Instinct's free 10th anniversary update later this year, including a balance update, improved matchmaking, and 4K support for the Series X and S. More information will be coming soon. So awesome to hear, because I mean, 4K, this game's going to look great. The game already does look very good. Improved matchmaking. I've been playing Killer Instinct on and off, and the matchmaking is there. It's not as good as it should be, but they're improving that. They're bringing back and revitalizing these older games. This is something that now we're seeing as a trend that is happening on Xbox, and I think this is a sign of the future, where they're going to be opening up servers, improving matchmaking for these older titles that people still want to play. We saw it all with Call of Duty, we saw it with Shadowrun, we saw it with Gears, and now here we're seeing this with Killer Instinct. I can't wait for this. I'm going to be jumping in right away when this 10th anniversary update comes, and it's free. You don't have to pay anything for it. And I hope this gets a huge amount of people playing Killer Instinct again, that they are maybe going to check out how much interest there is, try to gauge it, and then use those numbers to try and sell creating a brand new Killer Instinct game. That's my hopes at the end of the day with all of this. And seeing this game in 4K on the Series X and S, I think will be a treat to the eyes. So excited for this to eventually drop. Now let's jump over here. We know that Xbox is bringing over Bethesda games and the Xbox Game Studio games to Nvidia GeForce Now, Call of Duty. They made all of these deals during the Xbox Activision Blizzard acquisition, where they are giving pretty much anybody who wants a royalty-free license for their games, for Call of Duty, for Activision Blizzard games, on to these cloud streaming services. You got the Boost Storage, you got the Ubisoft, you got Nvidia GeForce Now, you have Nintendo Switch that's getting Call of Duty as well. So they're doing a lot here with trying to reach more gamers on as many devices as possible, going and working with these other big companies, even if technically you'd say something like Nvidia GeForce Now is a rival to Xbox Game Pass in terms of the cloud streaming. Even though it's a bring your own game service, it is a big service. And now we're finally here seeing the first Bethesda games that are arriving on Nvidia GeForce Now service. It says here, Bethesda's popular Doom, Quake, and Wolfenstein games are making their way onto the GeForce Now cloud gaming service this month. Nvidia announced in a blog post. While Nvidia didn't reveal the specific titles in each franchise, although the post teases an image of Wolfenstein: The New Order, you must have the Ultimate or Priority memberships to get access when they drop. And the new additions are the first Bethesda titles available for streaming on Nvidia GeForce Now, and this stems from the 10-year agreements between Nvidia and Microsoft, which owns Bethesda, that brings Xbox PC games onto the platform. So it's pretty cool there. I mean, Nvidia GeForce Now, in terms of a streaming service, I think there are definitely some better features there compared to Xbox Cloud Gaming. One of the main things here is that GeForce Now Ultimate lets you stream games at up to native 4K, which is not available currently on Xbox Cloud Gaming. And you get 120 frames per second in addition to a 240 frames per second option using NVIDIA's reflex feature. So that's cool. I mean, if you want to try these games in cloud gaming, you want to see how well they work, how good does that 4K look when you're streaming it, how steady are those frame rates, 120 to 240? That's something I would be interested in checking out. You can sign up to the Nvidia GeForce Now Ultimate and then now get access to Xbox games going forward into the future. This is just the beginning. Those 10-year deals are going to span tons of different services, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see even more announcements in the future of games coming over from Xbox to other platforms. I mean, we just saw PlayStation finally bend the knee and sign that 10-year deal for Call of Duty, which we could argue that is a worse deal because Phil Spencer originally, we saw in an email, was clear as day, offered Jim Ryan Call of Duty plus the Xbox Game Studios catalog, which he scoffed at and tried to get the deal blocked, failed at that. The deal is going to close, but they will still be able to get Call of Duty. So interesting that they're expanding out more. It's kind of the ecosystem plan that Xbox has been building up as they continue to try to reach as many people as possible. They want to reach 3 billion gamers, which I think is going to be almost impossible unless they really focus on cloud gaming. They really do focus on mobile side of gaming. Maybe not something somebody like myself cares that much about. Like, do I play cloud gaming very much? No. Do I play mobile games? No. But to reach 3 billion gamers, that would benefit all parts of Xbox. It would benefit the consoles side of things. It would benefit the first party games because obviously it's a huge business like that. They're going to want to put out more and more better titles than they previously have. So we'll see what happens with these 10-year deals and how these services add to the Xbox business and to how this affects the Xbox business going forward. Now, when it comes to PlayStation, we know PlayStation is shifting in terms of the games that they are going to be trying to make. We know that they have to focus far more on multiplayer, far more on games as a service. The reasoning for that is because they need to be able to make more money from their games, especially with how expensive it is becoming to make these massive big AAA games. 10 or 12? I think maybe it was even 12 games as a service games that they're trying to put out by 2026. And now Insomniac here, who I think could actually make some pretty fun multiplayer games, because out of all the studios at PlayStation, Insomniac to me probably has the best gameplay from their games. So you could see them putting out some great games as a service, some great multiplayer games. And it looks like they are actually working on a multiplayer game. It says Insomniac certainly seems deserving of the titles of PlayStation's busiest studio. I mean, they have been putting out the games. I mean, the Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man Miles Morales, Ratchet and Clank. You go back to when they were in a PlayStation studio, one of my favorite games, Sunset Overdrive, which was on Xbox, which is an Xbox exclusive. It's a shame that I don't know if people played that. But it would be cool if they somehow were to bring that back. Unfortunately, it would be exclusive to PlayStation. They're also working on Wolverine. But we look at the previous job listings for Insomniac Games, and it says that they are working on a mysterious third game that is poised to be a multiplayer game. No idea what it is. No information. My guess would be probably something along the lines of a third-person action style of game, third person, maybe battle royale, maybe third person team based game. Or you think back to a game that absolutely believe PlayStation should bring back, and I think it's Insomniac should be working on this IP, working on this title, and making a brand new one with a great built-out multiplayer. And that is the Resistance series. Bring Resistance back. I mean, it's a first-person shooter. It was great when it came out on the PlayStation 3. I enjoyed it. And they just completely abandoned it. They could easily bring that back, make some multiplayer, make some games as a service. And I think there would be a lot of hype around that, and people would be jumping in to play it. And hey, it could be used as some sort of Call of Duty competitor, which they said that they would never be able to make. So I hope that's what it is, honestly. But I also would be interested in what other types of new creative ideas, new IPs that they would be coming out with. Because PlayStation, no matter how much of a fan you are, they absolutely need to improve on creating different games, more games, different ideas, jumping into their back catalog and bringing those back out and making new versions of them, or even remakes. I know they love to make remakes, but you can make remakes of much older games other than just the Last of Us series, which there's also the rumored Last of Us 2 remake or remaster, whatever it is, which just blows my mind why they would be jumping into that. But I guess other than the fact that everyone is going to continuously buy the same thing over and over again, no matter what PlayStation puts out, which adds to the problem as to why they don't have a variety of different styles of games. So they need to create different games. They need to bring back games like Resistance. And I hope that is kind of something that is going on here with these multiplayers games as a service, whatever they're trying to do here to expand out their catalog. They know they have to, and they are going to. It's just a matter of what are the titles they're going to try to bring out in the future. And we'll see what Insomniac has in store. So let's jump over here to a couple of other things that I do want to talk about, do want to go over. First of all, if we go down to, I have these all in my bookmarks. We go down here, PlayStation 5, we look at the sales and they are doing very well. Just a quick mention, they are tracking behind the PlayStation 4 by 1.5 million units. And a lot of this probably has to do with the supply issues at the beginning of this generation. But to them, I mean, I'm sure they want to be ahead of the PlayStation 4 by the end of this generation, especially if they haven't transitioned over fully, or at least enough, to making those games as a service games and to the ecosystem and to subscription, which they are going to be transferring more over to. We've seen it with the adjustment of their PlayStation Plus tiers. But right now it says the PS4 was sitting at 41.23 million units through 32 months, and the PS5 is sitting at 39.64 million units through 32 months. So pretty much on par with the PS4, but tracking behind by about 1.5 million. And then when we talk about the PlayStation SSD, right? The SSD is something that's always a topic of discussion, and PlayStation branded it as this magical thing. We saw the whole thing with Ratchet and Clank. We saw it being completely debunked that you do not need the Ratchet and Clank SSD to be able to play that game. No matter how people tried to spin it, even after the Digital Foundry video where everyone ignored the follow-up to them testing Ratchet and Clank on a 10-year-old hard drive device that was in the PS4, or at least a replica of it. They tested it on PC, obviously, but a hard drive that was very similar to what was inside the PS4, and it had some issues. It ran, but it took longer to load through the warping. But then right after they followed it up, it said it does run on a hard drive device at 7,200 RPMs and it runs good. So that's completely been debunked. And throughout this generation, we have seen the SSD on the PlayStation 5 not really outperform the Xbox's SSD that much, or even underperform the Xbox's SSD multiple times in terms of loading times. Now, they did some tests here with Remnant 2, and it's interesting kind of the results. It really shows how features and optimization of these features make the biggest difference. It's not exactly the raw power or the raw speeds of the hardware within the console itself that matters. It's the quality of life features of these consoles that can make the biggest difference. So they did some loading tests here for Remnant 2, and from Quick Resume, it offsets any sort of loading differences that extra fast PlayStation 5 SSD gives the PlayStation 5 over the Xbox. When they're just loading the game up from scratch from the dashboard, PlayStation 5 has about a 5-second advantage here loading up from the dashboard, 29 seconds on the PS5 and 34 seconds on the Series X and Series S. But with them, it all cancels out because of Quick Resume, where the Series X loads at 6 seconds, Series S at 7.28 seconds, and then the PS5 at 17.13 seconds, obviously from a suspended state of the games on the PS5. And it just shows these quality of life features, the quick resume, the stuff that is baked into the Xbox Series X and S from the way that they engineered the console is making a difference, offsetting a lot of the SSD differences that the PS5 has, which at the end of the day isn't that massive of a difference. We've seen the tests throughout this generation. They're all about 5 to maybe 10 seconds in difference. Wins for Xbox, wins for PlayStation 5. But the SSD overall this generation has made the biggest difference in terms of playing games on console. Just massive compared to how long it took for games to load on these slower hard drive devices last gen, where it was like maybe 2-3 minutes every single time. That it's night and day now, and this is going to be the future going forward for these consoles, are having these faster SSDs. But I will leave the video there, guys. If you did enjoy this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up. If you are new here, hit that subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.